Marvel's second animated Disney Plus series for Phase 6 is exciting for so many reasons. Marvel Zombies is the franchise's most gruesome and ghoulish series that follows some of Marvel's greatest heroes as they struggle to survive a zombie horde. Are they going to make it? Who knows? Teases director and co-creator Bryan about Marvel fans' favorite heroes. Created by Andrews and Zeb Wells, the series is Marvel Television's first TVMA animated show. Marvel Zombies picks up the chilling tale first introduced in an episode of Marvel Television's What If series, exploring a reality where iconic Marvel heroes are turned into horrifying, flesh-craving zombies. However, the concept of a zombie-infested Marvel universe has deeper roots in comic book lore. It was first hinted at in Ultimate Fantastic Four by Mark Millar and Greg Land, where Reed Richards stumbles upon a parallel world consumed by the undead. This terrifying idea eventually evolved into its own series, brought to life by Robert Kirkman and Sean Phillips in the fan-favorite Marvel Zombies comics. The head of Marvel Television, Brad Winderbaum, was a longtime fan of the comics, so when he and the filmmakers first began developing potential story ideas for the What If series, they were hungry to bring the undead to the screen. Even in the early days of sketching out ideas, the team knew there was plenty of untapped story potential, which led to brainstorming sessions. Those meetings evolved into the full series of Marvel Zombies, spanning only 4 episodes of high-stakes zombie action. Winderbaum and Andrews did not doubt embracing the guts and gore. After all, every good zombie story needs some blood. We wanted to do justice to the genre that we're fans of. We just didn't want to do a PG-13 zombie show, says Winderbaum. Some fans might be surprised to learn that Marvel Zombies was originally developed as an animated feature, but the team behind the series was forced to redevelop it as a Disney Plus series to follow up on Spider-Man's story and maintain contractual obligations. If the feature had gone through, it would have been Marvel's first full-length animated feature in the cinematic universe produced by them. When the showrunner gets asked why they only did 4 episodes, he usually blames it on the time and money to produce each animated episode. But in actuality, it's due to the licensing of screen rights for Spider-Man, which is still owned by Sony and only licensed to Marvel Disney for select projects. They thought they'd get by with a 2-hour film using the web-slinger, but due to Sony rules, they were not allowed to feature him in a feature-length project. So the 2 hours were redeveloped into 4 30-minute episodes. The TVMA rating for the series comes from the violence depicted rather than the language. Andrews has stated that the series aims to be more purposeful with its adult moments and only uses swear words when it feels right. They focused more on the gore and the deeper character drama that is at the center of the show and the zombie genre. When it comes to the violence, the creative team approached it with restraint. Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel, did not impose any mandate on the team, basically telling the team that they got this and to just make the show awesome. While there's definitely gore, as you'd expect from a zombie-themed story, it wasn't about overwhelming the audience with non-stop bloodshed. The focus remained on telling a compelling, character-driven story rather than relying on shock value. According to the creators, they consciously avoided going overboard, even though they could have pushed the boundaries further. If the opportunity arises for a follow-up, they might turn up the intensity a bit, but for now, the gore serves the narrative rather than overshadowing it. In several interviews, Andrews reinforces that it's the character-driven storytelling that the series lives and dies by. The blood and guts are appropriately kept in check to not take away from that essential element. The series features the same cel-shaded animation style found in What If. The team also uses character likenesses based on the actors from the films. For example, Blade Knight retains the likeness of Mahershala Ali, who has been confirmed to play Blade in an upcoming live-action Marvel film, despite being voiced by a different actor in the series. When it came to the animation style, Andrews and the team wanted a vintage graphic style that appeared timeless, and so they adopted the same style from What If. But how did that style come about? Well, Andrews, a veteran storyboard artist himself, suggested working in the style of legendary early 20th century illustrator J.C. Leyendecker. He was so incredibly talented, and going back and looking at that work was very daunting to translate into animation, says Ryan Minderding, head of visual development and character design at Marvel. The team tried to pull certain things out of his style, like the way he designed silhouettes, the brushstroke patterns, or even the interesting lighting textures and patterns he used in his art. In the end, the team realized it was all about the proportions, making characters look tall with smaller heads and broad shoulders, which is the perfect silhouette for superheroes. The team would then put rim lights on characters and environments for stronger, bolder emphasis. The animation technique brought many challenges. The animators went with a combination of 3D modeling and 2D shading known as 2.5D. We're doing 2D drawings to essentially do the design work and get that approved by the filmmakers, and then change it to a 3D model that's going to have to be rendered to look flat, says Meinerding. All of the animation was provided by Stellar Creative Labs, which previously was one of the vendors working on What If. On that show, each episode had a different stylistic aspect depending on the genre of choice: war, sci-fi, film noir, or horror. It was always about the tone. But for Marvel Zombies, Andrews and his team wanted to fully give in to the zombie genre, and so the entire tone and visual aesthetic was horror. Many fan-favorite MCU actors returned to voice their respective characters for Marvel Zombies. Iman Vellani reprised her role as Kamala Khan, also known as Ms. Marvel. Other actors who returned are Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda Maximoff, Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova, Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop, David Harbour as the Red Guardian, Simu Liu as Shang-Chi, and even Riri Williams as Ironheart, featured in Marvel's most recent live-action series of the same name. Tom Holland doesn't voice Spider-Man in the series, with Hudson Thomas instead voicing him, reprising his role from Marvel's previous Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man series. Todd Williams voices Blade Knight in place of Mahershala Ali, who has yet to appear as Blade in the MCU. The various actors were brought in individually to record their lines, with most never actually being in the same recording booth as their scene partners. In post-production, the sound design and mixing teams were able to splice together the dialogue recorded to make each scene sound cohesive. This was necessary as the show features an ensemble of characters, and it can be hard to schedule several A-list actors to come together at the same time and record their lines. Oscar nominee Laura Cartman, who composed several of Marvel's projects, including Captain America: Brave New World, The Marvels, and Miss Marvel, joined forces with Nora Kroll-Rosenbaum, who composed several indie productions, to score Marvel Zombies. Cartman is noted to have an all-female studio and several more accolades and nominations under her belt. Before Cartman and Kroll-Rosenbaum started writing the score, they both gathered inspiration from other edgier and unsettling scores for classic zombie movies. They wanted the score to sound like a symphony of chaos, to match the mindset of the superheroes. Cartman is known to use unconventional instruments in her work. When she scored Captain America: Brave New World, she used wind-up toys and fuzzy radio static as part of the score of the villain's character theme. Both Cartman and Kroll-Rosenbaum worked on the score for What If Seasons 2 and 3. And a fun fact, they are married to each other. Call that a Marvel-tastic couple! Although they both had access to the sheet music and recordings of previous MCU projects that Cartman and others had scored, they wanted to adapt some elements by ear. Building on the score of the zombie episode from the main series, the duo added more grittiness and harsher sounds to amplify the zombie genre. To further enhance the gritty tone of the series, music supervisors decided to use quite a few metal songs. For the official trailer, the song From Me to You by Poppy and Baby Metal can be heard. It is also a single from the duo's collaborative album Metal Fourth, which features plenty of metal artists like Spiritbox, Polyphia, and Bloodywood. Thanks for joining us behind the scenes. We hope you enjoyed getting a closer look at how Marvel's Zombies came together, from the animation, to the sound design and score, to the voice acting. If you like this kind of content, let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next for Collider Behind the Scenes.